Welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as I Love Lucy in the MCU.
Yeah.
I'm one of your hosts, Brenton Buswick, alongside my co-host. I'm not 100% sure if he remembered we had an episode tonight. Greg Filson. Greg, how are you?
I remember we had an episode. You know what? I've been better. It was a weird day. We're going to get to it in rants. I get one full day off a week, and it always feels like a work day, no matter what. And not because of this.
No.
Not because of this. This is
it's
fun
just
for
trying
me.
to catch up with all the life things that you have to do on those days.
It's the life things you got to do when you're at work all the time.
Yeah.
But, I'm all right. I just had some great pizza.
There you go. The BXG podcast publishes every Friday at 7 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Pandora, TuneIn, Alexa, Stitcher, Buzzsprout, Anchor. If it's got a podcast, we're on it.
Nice.
I just said her name, and she responded. I don't like her. Okay. Official.
She knows everything you do.
Let's hope not. Official BXG social media accounts on Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, Instagram @BXG Podcast, Twitter @BXG Podcast, YouTube.com/BXG Podcast, where the static image podcast and all the pizza reviews are up. And we're going to have a new pizza review coming, right?
We are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Last week,
just posted on the Instagram.
Oh, you
just want everybody to know that's just posted. It's a long one. It gets a little political, but only funny political.
Depends on people's sense of humor. So our buddy DJ Outro, he started his podcast called Outrospective. I'll throw a link in the show notes. It's on Apple and Spotify as well as Anchor. I was featured in episode 2, and I know he's planning on getting you on sometime.
John Mayer Appreciation Podcast.
Right. I'm going to be honest with you. I got upset. He texted me. He's like, "Did you listen to it?" I said, "Yeah, I listened to it." He said, "What'd you think?" I said, "You cut out most of my good jokes." So that was a bummer.
Oh, no.
So, but,
if he cuts all my good jokes, it'll just be him talking.
Right. I mean, well, exactly. I mean, the episode's about an hour long, and we talked for about 2 hours, so he cut out. But I don't listen. I get it, and we cut a lot.
Yeah. It's his podcast. It's his name. Yeah.
Last week we did a watch or pass review for Netflix, The History of Swear Words. Definitely watch it. Bigly watch it.
Yeah, bigly watch it.
We do have...
Cage yourself in.
Ooh. I don't know about that. We did have two corrections or clarifications. When we discussed the challenge, you noted that Amber M was a contestant and insisted that because of the use of her last initial that there was another Amber, to which I could not believe that was true.
Neither can I, and I still can't believe it.
But upon viewing of this week's, it turns out there is another Amber B, and she's partners with Darrell. So and both of them played kind of a prominent role because it was like Revenge of the Nerds week on the challenge.
It was super weird this week.
Yeah, it was something. The other thing was we discussed the episode length for She-Hulk, which was going to be 10 episodes around 30 minutes each, and we stated we weren't sure what the other ones are going to be. WandaVision, 9 episodes, obviously around 30 minutes. We're going to talk about the first 2 episodes. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to be 6 episodes coming in between 40 and 50 minutes. So we have those clarifications. We got another Tall Boy 6-pack tonight. They're just some girthy topics. There's a lot of meat on these bones. But we have a great show tonight. Tag Team is here.
Tag Team.
Yeah. Bad Boys.
I love it.
Their song, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can't believe they were available.
Everyone's available these days.
That's true.
For the right price.
If you pay enough. We paid them nothing, but they're here tonight.
It was a cameo.
They're the after credits.
Yeah.
Stay around.
With us. Okay, so we've got the 6-pack. We're going to have a rant of the week. provided to us by Greg. And then we've got a few quick hitters, which I'm actually going to add one to. No, I'll just keep it a secret and just see how you react. So we're just going to go. We're going to go straight into number one, which is the WandaVision episodes 1 and 2. Here, the long-awaited debut of the first MCU Disney Plus series gave us not 1 but 2 episodes. The first episode introduced us to Wanda and Vision living a domestic life in an I Love Lucy style black and white episode. They quipped over many things, and it seems clear the primary plot device is that neither character knows how they arrived in their current situation. The couple hosted a dinner party in which Wanda was helped by neighbor Agnes, played by Catherine Hahn. The party goes awry when Vision's boss begins to choke and he must use his powers to save him, yet no one seemed to realize that he used his powers. The second episode continues in the black and white motif and sees the pair immerse themselves further in the community. Wanda attends a community planning meeting in which Dottie is the queen bee of the neighborhood that all the women must bow to. While at the meeting, a radio frequency cuts in and asks Wanda, who's doing this to you? Meanwhile, Vision attends a community watch and begins to yuck it up with the other men while having a stick of gum which literally binds his gears up and essentially turns him into a drunk supercomputer. The couple then performs a poorly conceived magic show before returning home to find Wanda several months pregnant. They hear a disturbance outside and rush out to see a beekeeper coming out of a manhole. Wanda rewinds time and they go back inside and their surroundings turn to color, and we're left wondering what will come next. I'm gonna channel my inner Daniel Craig from Knives Out.
Excellent.
Makes no damn sense, yet it compels me.
Yep. And I love it. It made me so pumped. And I don't know if it's just seeing the Marvel Studios intro, which just fires me up.
Yes.
You could, honestly, I think I could play like one Division I college football game if you just showed me that. I can make it through alive. Just show me the Marvel intro, and I am fired up. I watched the first Captain America after this because I was just so pumped.
First Avenger.
I was like, I have to watch something. Yeah, the first Avenger. And I'm like, I'm so pumped up, and I didn't want to go to my usual route. I always go with a Winter Soldier, but I've seen that movie so many times, it's insane. I was like, I'm going to watch the first Captain America.
Right.
Because I'm so fired up. Because here's the thing, like, yeah, I don't know, but they don't want you to know. That's literally the point of this show. I think from the first 2 episodes, I think that's why they gave us 2 episodes. Because it was really just one long episode that was one I Love Lucy, the other one Bewitched.
Right.
And I love this idea where they're different iconic sitcoms. Obviously, I don't know if you mentioned spoilers, but spoilers. These episodes are totally like geared off of that.
Yeah, we gave like a whole synopsis, so spoilers and
but it's funny.
It's funny. It is funny.
It's clever. It still has like the Marvel-ness to it that I like, where it's just like it's almost tongue in cheek. Like it's funny, but then you know that something else is up, especially when the voice comes over, which that voice is from Ant-Man. I can't think of the character.
Yeah,
but,
I saw that as well.
Yeah, and so it's just like you don't. You know, is she just creating this own thing after Vision dies? Is this before Vision dies? I mean, there's a whole bunch of things going on. Spoiler 2 of Vision dies.
Yeah, well, you know what? Here's the thing: is if you haven't seen Avengers: Infinity War and you're listening to this podcast, then I don't know what you're doing.
You're probably a psychopath
listening to this.
But tell your other psychopath friends
podcast
and their mothers.
Unless
and
your mother.
But I mean, the biggest thing I can say is Catherine Hahn, good in everything.
Yeah,
spectacular in this. She's so good as the next door neighbor.
Yeah, she's clearly something though. She's not just.
Yeah, she's definitely. Well, she's a witch. The character is like a lot of people think she's like a witch from the comic book series.
Right.
And she shows up as like a witch in one of the comic books and things like this. I did my research. I always pretend that I don't, but and I'm not going to give away everything because it's one of those things where it's like I don't. But I don't want to spoil the show for everybody in the sense that like there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of homages to this show. I suggest everyone go and check out like little Easter eggs about this show because the Easter eggs are incredible, and if you're a Marvel person, they're fun.
Yeah.
But even if you're not a Marvel person, you're kind of like I could understand like not being a Marvel person, like that's cool that they did that. If you're just a fan of like incorporating other things into a show like this, because They did a great job of it. I thought the first episode was good. I thought the second episode was great.
Second episode was better than the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. And if this is, we always talk about like how shows are trending or anything like this, and you and I have both agreed, like Marvel, we're just you wait for it to let you down until you decide to let you down. This is not letting us down. I'm telling you right now. We have 7 more episodes. There might be an episode where we're like, it wasn't great. It might just be a setup. This is incredible, and what it did for me is, like I said, maybe watch the other movies or watch another movie. I'm so stoked for everything else now. Yeah. Like, literally give me everything now, because I will watch it. When we got done with the second episode, I looked at Janie and I'm like, this could just been the 9 episode thing, and we could just watch it all right now, and I'll just go into work late tomorrow because I don't care.
Well, first of all, I want to say that, upon immediately watching it, like I said, it makes no damn sense, but it compels me. No. It's like, I enjoyed it. Like you said, it's funny. It's very funny. The second episode's very funny to see Paul Bettany acting like. Well, first of all, let me backtrack a little bit. I like seeing him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I like seeing. Yep. So that's part of it is they're in this very suburbanite community, and he goes to work at an office type deal, and he has to make himself look like a person, even though his name's still Vision, which I think's hilarious.
Which I love. Yeah. Well, I think that's great. Yep.
It's actually Paul Bettany, which is pretty cool for him to get to show his like actual face. It was very funny. The second episode was very funny. Like you said with the Easter eggs, definitely go and see, look up. They're everywhere. Nerdist has one, IGN has one, so on and so forth. We're not going to go through all of them, obviously, but here's the thing that I have that's a problem. A problem that I have with the Easter eggs is that, are they going to be, like, is this foreshadowing or is it fan service? And because there's so much that they put into this, it kind of goes either way. Like, I feel like they just beat us over the head with it sometimes. Like, it's just too much at times. I did appreciate the nod to the Stark toaster. Yeah. And the Varen von Strucker watch with the Hail Hydra symbol on it. Those were very out in the open. I mean, if you don't know what those are, I don't know why you're watching this show. But there were some other things. There was like, they said, oh, did you catch this? It looks like the Grim Reaper symbol. Or did you catch the House of M on the wine label or whatever? It's like, how many times did people watch this? And like, did they watch it in slow motion? Or were they watching it all together? Were they just all break it? Like, hey, you watch the top part of the screen, I'll watch the bottom part of the screen. So that's the thing is, like, sometimes, like, I like the little nods and stuff like that, and I do like it if they are setting things up, that like the foreshadowing. But sometimes I think that they put so many Easter eggs in, and I think that you can make the case that they did this at times in Mandalorian too, that it kind of almost takes away from the enjoyment of just sitting back and actually watching the thing.
I think too, like, and I'm okay with the Easter eggs because all Marvel movies in the MCU have so many Easter eggs. And so it was just, to me, it was like fun watching like another Marvel movie, like condensed. If it's fan service, it's fan service, which I'm okay with. And if it's just, are we seeing foreshadowing, then that's cool. I think the thing is, like, I don't care if it's either of those things, because like the show was still good to me.
Yeah, right.
Janie has seen all the Marvel movies because I made her watch them. But she doesn't really care. Right. I mean, she likes them. Yeah. And I've told you before, like, Captain America is the first one's, the first Avenger is her favorite of these movies, which is literally no one else's.
Very few people.
And I love Chris Evans. Right. And don't get me wrong, like, Captain America is my favorite Avenger, but that movie's fine. It's in the middle for me. Yeah. But it's just like, I think they do, like, if they are doing fan service, great. That's awesome. But the thing with, like, these websites to do is there are people literally getting paid to do what you just said, and they actually probably don't even really get to enjoy the episode. Right. In a way, like, they're like, I have to pause on every single little moment because this is probably something, and then I have to take a note of, like, the house number or the wine label because
it's all something.
Like everything's something. Yeah. Everything is something, which is fine. In a way, and I agree with you on that, like, it can be overload, but like, if you don't care about that, I mean, I love both I Love Lucy and Bewitched.
Right.
I grew up with that. I remember going to my grandparents' house in the summer, and at 10 o'clock and 10:30, it would be I Love Lucy and Bewitched.
So let me ask you this:
I'm like, random CBS.
Because it was a different house in both episodes.
Right.
Were those like fairly replicated to the houses in those
Yes.
two shows?
And also, when Paul Bettany flips over the chair, that's a nod to Dick Van Dyke,
Okay.
which is really cool. You know, and
See,
it's
that's
like,
stuff that I don't necessarily know.
And this is just, and I've talked about this. I am like a historian on humor.
Sure.
This is one of my things where it's just, if there's something I may be an expert at, it might be humor from like 1950 on. I love it. It's something I'm very passionate about. I don't, you can't major in that or anything, but just humor in general is something that I absolutely love. I love when things were humorous because they were maybe like a little seedy.
Right.
I love it when it's just someone flipping over a chair, like it's Dick Van. If you go back and watch like an old Dick Van Dyke show, him flipping over a chair or him, that is still super funny now. And then I Love Lucy, which I think is maybe like a top 5 sitcom for me. You know, because it is the reason why other sitcoms exist,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
she's so funny. And then Bewitched is just like, Bewitched is what it is. It's funny. It's not. I don't think Bewitched is anything that's like life changing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it was a funny show, and I think they're gonna just hit really like it's very iconic because everyone knows that theme music. And the way the cartoon was set up. So I think what they're doing is like they're kind of hitting every fan base you can. You're hitting your Marvel fan base, you're hitting your older fan base, and you might just be hitting a younger fan base that just has Disney
Right.
and is looking for something to watch.
I will say, just seeing online that this is somewhat divisive amongst fans. I think
It is.
Yeah, there's a contingency that that thinks it's crap, basically, and I think that's probably the contingency of people who are just like, no, man, dude, why are we seeing Elizabeth Olsen in skanky clothes and shit blowing up? You know, and it's like, all right, bro. But
Yeah.
you know, I think it's interesting. I'm eager to see more, just to see where
Yes.
it all goes. We're gonna get the color. Things are gonna be in color starting this week, and I just wish they were a little longer. Because the first one was really only like 23 minutes. I mean, they say it's a half an hour. It was like 23 minutes with the.
Do you have any sitcoms you'd like them to duplicate? Because we don't know going forward. Or I haven't, like, I mean, I know, I guess I kind of know a couple, but like any show-wise you'd love to see?
Well, I know they're not going to do
Let's
the
say this
Cosbys. I think they're like, it seems like they're really gearing it towards like that sort of small town America type sitcom. So I don't know. So we're not going to see them do like Seinfeld. We're not going to see them do like Friends.
Wouldn't it be funny if they did like
be
a Seinfeld where everything would be, that would be so good if it was a Seinfeld. They might do it because like they, progress through the ages, maybe season 2, but
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Leave it to Beaver, maybe.
Yeah, sure. Well,
although that's going back in
I was gonna
time.
say.
That's going back in time. Yeah, I guess not.
But I think you're probably going to get like All in the Family and
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Some of the things like that. Family Matters.
The Wonder Years wasn't
Wonder
a comedy,
Years.
but that'd be great.
Maybe some of those classic '90s like Step by Step and
Family Matters. Maybe
yeah.
the
That'd be
Urkel will be
great.
an episode.
That'd be great.
Oh, it'd be so good.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I like the first 2 episodes. They were weird. As far as it's just different. That's what it is. It's just different.
Here's the thing with Wanda, though. Wouldn't it be weird if it wasn't weird? Like her whole character is kind of weird.
Especially
she's
how
a woman in love with a robot who got her parents killed by the Stark family.
Yeah, and lost her accent along the way.
That's literally my thing with this. I want it to be weird.
Right.
So I feel like there might be a thing where we talk about them later in the show where somebody else comes back into the MCU.
Oh yeah,
of this show.
Yeah, we'll mention that later.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, ongoing, we're gonna do WandaVision every week, just like we did Mandalorian. And if you have questions, comments, you want to make a statement, you like it, you love it, you hate it, you think it's dumb, please let us know. Write in bxgpodcast@gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram, either the BXG Instagram or either of our Instagrams. We're constantly posting, so write in. Let us know what you think. Number 2, the challenge. MTV's The Challenge. Double Agents in review. This week's episode started on a somber note. At the challenge, we learned that Natalie would be unable to continue due to a personal matter. She was replaced by Ashley, who Natalie eliminated. In the episode, the challenge required the women partner to stand on a platform suspended over a lake with a significant drop. The men had to pull a rope through a hole and then hang on to their female partners as the platform was released. The final 2 teams were Jay and Teresa and Big CT, with Big CT bringing home the win. Tori began politicking immediately to be able to face a rookie, as she considered them layups. But Queen Big T had other plans and unleashed her minions, Revenge of the Nerds style, as the House voted for Anissa. Big T and CT then nominated Tori, throwing her into elimination to face her quote-unquote best friend in the house. The girls had to pull a sled full of medicine balls down a track, tip the sled, and use the balls to break through a wall. Tori, looking very layup-y herself, struggled to tip the cart, giving Anissa a huge lead, which she used to finish off her friend and send her packing. Anissa then stole Fessy back, who spent much of the episode dealing with the backlash of all of his poorly conceived moves from the prior episode, which reunited Leroy and Casey, and in turn leaves Devin as a rogue agent. So first, I wanted the Natalie thing. So she announced after the episode that she learned that she was, I think it was like 8 weeks pregnant. So she withdrew, and then she went like,
I'm not the No, I'm not the father. I just want to make sure everyone knows.
Right. The father, I assume, because I follow her on social media, is a dude that makes Fessy look like I make you look, basically.
He's a dude. He's an actual man that can pull a rope.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now.
But she ended up having a miscarriage, so we wish her well, and we assume that we're going to see her back. I mean, she's an animal, and we like watching her compete. But
I hope it had nothing to do with the show.
At the end, I'm going to circle back to that point of doing something with the show. No, it was, Oh, the miscarriage. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Either way, so Ashley came back. I thought it was odd that an eliminated person was chosen to replace somebody, but then I kind of thought to myself, well, the likelihood is that she got eliminated and then she had to sit in quarantine for 2 weeks before she was able to travel back to the States. So she was just there, and they needed a body. So
I didn't like how everybody clapped so enthusiastic.
Yeah, right.
I did not enjoy that.
Yeah,
like Ashley's a 2-time winner. You don't want her back. You don't want somebody that actually knows how to play the game back.
To be fair, the 2 seasons that she won, she was carried.
She was carried
the whole way, both times.
Yeah.
And then she chose to steal the money from Hunter in that season, who did 90% of the work there.
That was rough.
So with that being said, I mean, she's
if we ever do a re-challengeables, that'd be a fun season to re-challengeable.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's what I know. Here's what I think, though, is that, and I'm not saying this in jest, because I'm being serious, that when it comes to the women, I think at this point the top dog is probably the Olympian Lola Jones, just because she is physically superior to the rest of the girls in the house. But your runner up there is probably Anissa. Just because she knows how to play. What she did
in this episode was perfect. She took Fessy back.
Yeah.
Like even though we'll get to Fessy, but
as
it was
we
a great
always
move.
Do.
Yeah, we'll always get back to Fessy, but I mean, Lola, she's just so stupid though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, you can't be as stupid as she is.
She kind of.
I wanted her transcripts sent to me. If I could have her official transcript sent to me, I would love that.
You don't have to go to college to be an Olympian.
No, I just mean high school. I want to see how she graduated high school. Because when she talked for the 2 seconds she talked on this episode, it drove me nuts. I was like, we don't ever have to talk to her. Just let her be an athlete. Let her be in shape. Let her be an athlete. We don't have to talk to her because she is so she might be the dumbest person on this show, and that is a tough category.
Yeah. To be fair, these folks are cast in a certain light that may not
True. That's true.
Show their true potential.
Lola might be a great person. If she wants to be a guest on the show, she'll be a friend of the program for life.
So there you go. Okay, so Ashley, and then the challenge itself. These challenges are stupid.
They're so bad.
They're not good.
What are they do? They spend too much money on going to Iceland.
Building this. I saw that you could rent the challenge house on Airbnb if you're headed to Iceland anytime soon.
I'm not traveling anytime soon.
Anywhere.
But
yeah, sure.
I'll travel to work and back.
Yeah. But anyway, the challenge.
Yeah.
So the girls have to stand on a platform, and then the guys have to literally just pull, I don't know, 50 yards worth of rope. It wasn't that much.
Why are we making these challenges? They should pay us to do this.
Here's the thing. I want to see people run into each other.
Yep.
Either on purpose or incidentally. I want to see people tackle each other. I want to see people wrestle each other. The truck one was good. I mean,
the truck one was great.
Yeah, 2 people got injured.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They got 2 people got evacuated.
What about a good old fashioned tug of rope?
Yeah. Well,
just give me that.
Do you know what one that
give me that.
I haven't seen this in a while, and I want it, is when they have the 2 trenches that run perpendicular to each other, and there's just balls on either side, and you just got to run through. And if you're meshy and you're 5'6" and you're 165 pounds and you are running through there full clip and you run into CT and you die.
That's it.
Hey,
that's the game.
Thanks for playing. You know.
Here's the thing. It's seasons like this where I'm like, I could be on this show at 5'10" ish, $135 ish, soaking wet, and I'm like, I could win this because Fessy couldn't pull that rope at all. And I was like, dude, would you have no grip strength? I wouldn't ask Fessy to open a pasta. I would not ask him to open a jar in my life. He couldn't do that. He looked like he had no idea what he was doing. I'd be in a room with 10 other people.
Who was his,
and he's in there.
Casey was his partner. She's
Casey was his partner.
No rhythm, she's got no strategy. It's what strategy do you have to have? It's a rope.
The strategy is pulling a rope. It's super easy. I've gone to gyms where you when you work out, you just pull a rope.
Right.
It's a part of the thing because ropes can be heavy.
Sure. This one wasn't.
Dude, have you never? This one was not heavy. It was also not long.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on here that made this. And so many people struggled with it. And I was like, have you never used your hands?
Right.
They looked so, this was one of those things where it made me more confident in my abilities of being on this show.
Right.
And I was I don't understand what, it might be the steroids. I think it actually might be the steroids where they're it's gone so far into their brain that they don't know how to do things.
I was a little upset. Well, not upset. I don't actually emotionally care, but I was a little really that everybody was giving Big T so much credit for winning the challenge. It's
it's because you're scared of heights.
Listen, she just hung there, and then when CT, who is gargantuan in nature, was finished correctly pulling the rope out of the hole, all he had to do was hold on to somebody that weighs maybe 90 pounds. Woo!
Yeah, and the funny thing about this is how can you be? Why would you acknowledge hey, I need to be on this show if you're so scared of heights?
Right.
There's at least 2 challenges every season that are super height.
I will never go on The Amazing Race. They could come to my house. Phil Keegan could come to my house and knock on my door and say, hey, we want you on The Amazing Race. And I would say, I appreciate that, Phil. I love your accent, but it's not going to happen. Do you want to know why? Because at least 2 times a season they have to do something like skydive or rappel off the Golden Gate Bridge or rappel off the Great Wall of China or some nonsense that has to do with being really high off the ground. And I don't like being really high off the ground. I also don't like flying. So guess what? The Amazing Race, not for me.
Not for you.
But here I am.
I love all those things.
Here's what. Yeah. But this is me acknowledging that.
Right. You're here saying you don't. I'm fine with all those things.
Right.
And like, so like, I don't understand. The show always just boggles my mind because people are always just, I didn't know I was gonna have to do so much physical work.
Right.
They're like, what do you mean you didn't have to know? I honestly think a lot of people have never watched the show.
I don't know how you go on a show and don't know what it's
right.
about.
I know shows that I've never even I know what Big Brother is.
Right.
I've never watched an episode, but I know exactly what it is. It's manipulation.
Kind of.
It's basically that, which I'm okay with.
So I could talk about this during media recommendations, but I'll talk about it now since we're here. I started watching the season that Josh from the Challenge is on Big Brother, and
is he cry the entire time?
He does. He cries the whole time, and he gets in fights with people, and he's paranoid. And I texted our friend Bob Sacabano, and I said, "Hey, do you watch the Challenge?" He said no, and I said, "I want you to know that Josh hasn't changed a bit," because he's a Big Brother fan. But anyway, it is Big Brother. I would say is a cross between the Challenge and Survivor. There's challenges you can win immunity from eviction or whatever. The challenges can be somewhat physical in nature. Some of them have been. Some of them are puzzle oriented. Whatever. It's fine. But the crazy thing about it is, and I think you said this last week, is if you're not on one of these shows, you're not going to be on one of these shows. Because we're watching, I was like, I know that guy, I know that girl. They were on Amazing Race. This chick was on Survivor. Josh was on Challenge and everything. So,
and maybe this is all COVID related, where they just don't want to go into I don't know.
I don't know. This particular season is from a few years ago. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about So Tori
being stupid.
Tori says,
She's so stupid in this episode.
I want to face a rookie. I want to face a rookie. You don't tell people what you want unless you
She's
know.
Not new to this.
Unless you know the person. Unless you're cool, like the person that has the power is in your alliance. You don't go to them and say, "Hey, I want to face such and such." She just went to somebody who's completely not in her alliance, Big T, and said, "Hey, all of your friends, I think they're weak, so I'd like to face one of them. What do you think about that?" And Big T, smiled and did her Big T thing. I think that
I really like Big T, by the way.
I think that Big T and CT have some of the funniest intentional, unintentional comedy. And what I mean by that is
so good.
What I mean by that is that Big T is not trying to be funny.
No.
But CT is actively trying to be funny.
Yep.
And the way he brings her unintentional comedy out it's phenomenal. I love that team.
It's my favorite team.
Yeah. Yeah. So the rookies all kind of said, we're gonna make the House vote in Issa, and then Big T's gonna put in Tori, and that was the power play, and it worked out for them, and they got the people who they wanted to get out.
Yeah.
The challenge, the actual elimination challenge, was embarrassing if you're Tori, just because she could not get that thing over. And then the crazy part about it was she almost caught up. And so it was
we don't know how they filmed that.
It's said because they were side by side.
They were side by side. I saw that, but I was I'm always wondering if because Anissa was so far ahead.
Well, she gassed out a little bit.
She did gas out.
Yeah.
I mean, Nissa's not known for her endurance, but
sure.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, Tori. And she admitted, though, halfway through the episode, she was, I'm terrible at this right now.
Yeah.
She knew in the middle of this, she had no idea what she was doing.
Yeah.
And it's what do you... I mean, whatever. I mean, Devin won because he got rid of Tori.
Right.
That's what he wanted.
Yep.
It's what he wanted. I like Devin.
Yeah.
Fine. Devin to me is the new Wes.
I don't agree with that. That's too lofty of a comparison.
I don't want to say, in the way, here's what I mean, is that he understands how the game is played, which is what Wes knew more. Wes, to me, is still the craftiest person.
Yeah, here's the difference, though, is that Wes can hold up in an actual elimination, and I don't think that Devin is built for eliminations.
Give us 2 seasons of Devin on steroids going forward.
He likes beer too much.
Who doesn't? Beer's delicious.
I don't like beer at all.
But he does. And maybe he kind of has a little Han Solo vibe.
Stop.
Where he doesn't care.
No, listen. I get it. Here's the thing.
Like
you like
right?
the guy. You like Devin.
I do like Devin. I think he's. Here's the thing. You know.
Praise.
I think Devin and I would be good friends. This is where we're at. I think Devin and I would be like solid bros back in the day. I don't know how old he is. He's probably 25 now, but like, let's pretend that we're both like 21. I'm always just like, oh, Devin and I are just gonna go to this place, pick up chicks. Like that's where I'm at. Like I think Devin and I.
He's 31.
Oh, so we're not the. We are brothers from another
They're
mother.
like.
I'll tell you that.
I think that those.
He's got good hair too, and I was just yeah.
Yeah, I think for the most part that they're older than we think they are. A lot of them.
Everyone's older than we think. Oh, I also just want to point out one thing. I forgot to say this in the challenge part. Nani and I win that challenge, no problem. If I have to hold on to Nani for dear life,
I think she takes you into the water with her.
I hope so.
Number 3. No, actually, we have a listener inquiry, and it was actually we had it last week.
All right, good.
We had it last week, but I glossed over it whenever I was reading through.
That happens.
And it's from Jared Allen. He writes in and says he's not too much of a fan of the challenge, but he would like to see MTV bring back Rock and Jock, especially the basketball, Rock and Jock basketball. Do you remember the Rock and Jock basketball?
That's the only thing I remember. When he said softball. Especially basketball?
They did.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah, they did Rock and Jock softball.
Yeah.
It wasn't. The softball wasn't
literally
that fun.
Bring back anything from the 90s.
Bring back MTV.
Just
bring back MTV.
So you have the challenge and you have moms, right? That's it. You got teen moms that are like 35 years old and they still call it teen mom.
The only thing that's on
they're
MTV,
not teen moms anymore.
Right. The only thing that's on MTV now that is MTV is the challenge. Like that's literally it. And then it's like like
so weird.
Said, 16 and pregnant, but they were pregnant in the
like they're literally
like
our age and they're like, oh, I'm taking care of kids now and I got to be an adult. What the hell is this all about?
Yeah, right.
I gotta have a job.
Yeah.
My husband's a loser. It's like, yeah,
Husband.
You've known this for 16 years.
Husband?
That your
They're
baby
not
daddy.
Yes.
Your baby daddy is a loser.
Yeah.
My mom, shout out to my mom, who is an avid listener of this show, and wishes we would do a YouTube broadcast of it. And I told her at some point.
No.
We need to. She just wants to see our beautiful faces, Brenton. She does.
Number 3. Anyway, shout out to your mom.
Yeah, shout out to my mom. She's I'll hopefully see her at some point when we have the COVID vaccine. I haven't seen her in almost a year. It's a little weird.
Oh wow, no way.
Shout out to mom, by the way. Just to your mom. I just because I love my mom. I miss my mom. Shout out to your mom.
There you go.
There you go.
Back to the future. Number 3. Okay, so number 3, we put on our social media. We did a poll. Well, first we asked for submissions, so we got 4. We actually got a few more than that, but I narrowed it down to 4 movies that I was actually willing to watch. And they were Biodome, Armageddon, The Accountant, and Back to the Future. And we put those on across our various social media accounts. We did polls, and Back to the Future won, and that was kind of serendipitous because I think back in October we were talking about how I had never seen Back to the Future, and you had never seen Wonder Woman, and you watched the first Wonder Woman for our review of Wonder Woman 1984. So it's only really fair for me to now watch Back to the Future. So I watched it today. I had to watch it on Hulu. They just took it off Netflix, which was weird.
I just bought it.
Oh, I watched it on Hulu. Okay. So there was like a few ads or whatever, but I'm going to read the film synopsis from Google instead of doing like the whole rundown. So in this 1980s science fiction classic, small-town California teen Marty McFly, played by Michael J. Fox, is thrown back into the 1950s when an experiment by his eccentric scientist friend Doc Brown, played by Christopher Lloyd, goes awry. Traveling through time in a modified DeLorean car, Marty encounters young versions of his parents, played by Crispin Glover and Leah Thompson, and must make sure that they fall in love or he'll cease to exist. Even more dauntingly, Marty has to return to his own time and save the life of Doc Brown. So, like I said, this is the first time I'd ever I'd seen pieces of it, on cable throughout. I'm 36. This movie was made like the year of my birth or thereabouts. So
it came out in 1985, July 2nd, 1985, or June 4th, 1985.
So it was, I
was 2 months old.
Right. So I was almost a year. It's a classic sci-fi movie. I think that Michael J. Fox plays the role very well. I see a little bit of, and I wonder, based on mannerisms and things like that, if there isn't a little bit of Doc Brown in Cosmo Kramer. There's
a little Doc Brown. This movie, it's the reason why Rick and Morty exists. It literally is the reason why Rick and Morty exists. This movie, and I have in my show notes, it's iconoclastic. I reference this movie so much. It was amazing to me that you had never seen it. It's one of my favorite movies ever. It just is.
Yeah.
When we rewatched it today, and we watched it 2 months ago, it hits every note. It actually hits every note that a movie should hit, and it's a sci-fi movie about time travel that involves kissing your mom in a weird way and almost a rape.
Well, that's what one thing that I was going to say about this was that, I think that probably most of the people who are listening to this have seen this or whatever. The one thing that really stuck out to me is that this is rated PG.
Well, yeah, in the 80s things were so weird. Well, we don't see anything, and they say shit a lot.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. There's a lot of language, and then there's a borderline rape scene, and then the jazz band gets out, and the kid calls them a racist term, and then says, "I don't want any trouble with no reefer addicts."
Yeah,
it's just funny how the pendulum swings both ways, and I feel like this is almost a case study, just looking at things from a cultural perspective. Because you had the 50s and 60s where everybody was buttoned up, nobody said swear words, people were very PC, things like that. You couldn't do anything, you couldn't offend anybody, you couldn't joke about things, that sort of thing. And then society kind of broke through that, and then so you get comedians, number one, who are always kind of pushing the limit, but you get comedians like Richard Pryor and George Carlin and things like that kind of press the boundaries of what's acceptable, and then it gets to the point where you have a movie like Back to the Future, which... there's not really any, well, I shouldn't say there's not any violence. Doc Brown at the beginning or towards the beginning gets, shot up by a person who is of Middle Eastern descent, and in the credits is called the Terrorist.
Yes.
And he gets murked up by this guy who's got an AK-47 for some reason. That's the other thing, is I like that there's literally no explanation
behind anything
in this movie as to why these people are after him. I don't know if that gets explained further down the line or not.
Well, the plutonium, the plutonium, he gets it from the plutonium dealers.
Okay,
and then they're want him to create something.
Okay.
I will say Chris Lloyd is an avid customer at the bookstore I work at.
No way.
I talked to him. I bet I talked to Chris Lloyd, and he always tells you to call him Chris.
Oh, really? That's cool.
And I see him at least once every 3 weeks. And he is Doc.
He's Doc. He's Doc Brown.
Yeah. He is 100%. He's super cool.
He's
super nice guy.
He's in some other movies, but this is his thing. Hallmark, thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rating thing, and now it's almost getting to the point where, if this movie came out today, it would be rated R, just based on the kind of rape scene. And the language, just that alone would get it an R rating, I think.
I think so.
Well, that's not true.
It'd probably be PG-13. It would definitely be PG-13.
Yeah, it would definitely be PG-13
because there's no F-bomb.
Right, but the scene with Biff in the car with Marty's mom is,
and.
But that's the thing, is those movies like that and Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah. Revenge of the Nerds, where they're drilling the hole to look into the girls' locker room and stuff. You couldn't make that movie today.
No, you literally could not make that.
You couldn't make Tropic Thunder today with the way that things are, where Robert Downey Jr. basically does blackface the whole movie.
Which is weird because that movie is
not that
great.
Old. And it's not that old.
It's not that old. And and I'm not going to... We talked about this before, and it was the clip that you took, where like I get tired of like the PC culture. That thing is actually okay with me on the PC culture. I don't like that. With this movie, there's nothing PC culture. It's more or less just like you could just get away with that.
Yeah.
On the non-PC culture of this, 80s movies, the girls in all 80s movies are all hot. This is what I've realized watching, because we watched Ferris Bueller, and Sloane is maybe the hottest girl in any movie ever other than Penelope Cruz in anything. I don't know what they did in the 80s to make every woman in the movies hot. Maybe it's just their big hair. I don't know. Our eyebrows. I'm not sure. But like Jennifer, Michael J. Fox's girlfriend, Marty McFly's girlfriend, she's so cute.
Yeah,
You're just
pretty.
like,
Yeah, she's pretty.
Holy cow. And then it leads me to this, because what we learned from this movie. Okay, so before he goes back to the past, which also bugs me about this movie, is Back to the Future, which they say like, oh, we're sending you back, but you actually go to the past to adjust the future. Okay. Yeah. So in this movie, so Marty is cool.
Yes. Well, that's the impression. He's kind of cool.
He's kind of like, he's cool enough to have a hot girlfriend.
Right.
This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like, well, she's hot to me. I don't know. I mean, maybe she's not hot.
Yeah. No.
I would say that most people would think that Jennifer is pretty hot in this movie, like the whole way through. So, but his family is not great. I mean, Leah Thompson, who is smoking hot in this movie as his mom, as a younger version.
Right.
But Leah Thompson is just considered smoking hot at that time anyhow. I mean, but it's one of those funny things where you're just like, oh, okay, he's cool all the time. So nothing changes with his coolness. And then he comes back to the future, where he, like, nothing changes except he gets a cool truck.
Right.
Which, the thing is, when they get the BMW and the cool truck, both those things still play today. Like, those vehicles, even at their age, if they're in that condition, are still cool today, which no one knew at the time. This movie holds up so well. And, I've watched this movie who knows how many times. But, when you're watching it for this show, where I actually analytically, the whole time I'm talking to Jim, like, this could have been made, aside from certain things, you can make this movie. I'm surprised it hasn't been remade.
Yeah, the reason I think that Back to the Future holds up is because it is set in the 50s, so that aesthetic doesn't change. But, some of the future settings that they might visit are more prone to change because we have caught up to those timelines, and the things that they said didn't necessarily come true. So with that being said, I mean, it's a watch for me, and I'd be interested in checking out the second and third movies as well. Number 4, Netflix, a streaming giant who recently released successful movies in the past, such as Bird Box and Extraction, announced that they will be bringing at least one new movie to its platform every week in 2021. The total amount of films set to release is set at 70, which is more than Disney Plus and Warner Brothers combined. While some films will be smaller niche titles, there are bigger budget options as well, such as Red Notice starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Gal Gadot, and Ryan Reynolds, Escape from Spiderhead starring Chris Hemsworth, Don't Look Up starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, and Greg's adopted son Timothy Chalamet. Okay, so what do you think about all these 70 movies?
Like, I'll watch Gal Gadot in anything.
Right.
That's where I'm at in my life. She's very pretty.
She's also
a good actress. Yeah, she's a good actress. She's second to me in the Penelope Cruz being a good actress and also very pretty line. Penelope Cruz is the apex mountain of all things in my life. Let's take a second to reel her in. Okay. Here's the thing. Is I have a movie with Leo and Timothy Chalamet? Yes. Doesn't seem fair to me. That's not fair to me. I can't watch both of them at the same movie. That's a lot of handsome man in a movie that I am not ready for.
You said,
and then you have Jeff.
At one point, this is going back several episodes.
Yeah, sure.
You said it was whenever we were talking about Christian Bale in Thor, and you said the greatest living actor, and I couldn't think of a counter to that, but it might be Leo. That might be a comparable.
It might be Timothée Chalamet.
I don't even know who
it may be him. No, he's great. You should watch Lady Bird. We should do a Lady Bird review. Lady Bird's so good, Brenton.
I don't want to watch.
It's so good.
Lady Bird.
He's not even the star of it. Saoirse Ronan is, and I love Saoirse Ronan. You also have to just watch Little Women. It's everything.
Christian Bale's in it.
Not that one, but he is in that. He is in a Little Women. He's the Timothy Chalamet in the Little Women movie, and it's great. Like, here's the thing: is the new Little Women has Florence Pugh, who I love. Is that people are just always like, "Oh, Greg, you love her." Yeah, I like pretty girls who can act. I'm sorry, I am a flirt, and this is where we're at with this. And this is probably we should probably add this at the end of the content of the show. This is where we're at. This show is so off the rails right now. Who knows? The after hours part could be incense.
What?
So, I just said the after hours portion of this show. Like, because I've just rambled so much. You could just make all my rambles at the after hours.
Yeah, I'll put
for this. It'd be crazy.
Did you watch Bird Box?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It
You
was
haven't
weird.
seen Extraction?
I've not seen Extraction.
See, that could be the one that we do. So we had to cut. Well,
Okay.
like, I didn't record. Like, for some reason, I hit stop somewhere along the line, and so we missed some of the things. And he made up he being Greg, made up a terrible catchphrase for if we review movies that one of us has seen and one of us hasn't. I can't even remember what the hell it was. And
I don't want to see
talk about it.
rewatchables because that's already a thing. So I said rebrentables.
No, let's just call it.
What about?
How about it's just a BXG?
How about
retro
BXG at the
review?
theaters? Oh, I was
But we're
saying
not at the
BXG
theaters.
at
Nobody's at the theaters. So
BXG at the theaters, but home theaters.
just a BXG retro review. There it is.
Okay.
But yeah, we could do Extraction because you haven't seen that
Okay.
and it's good.
That
and
sounds
I've
good.
seen it.
I'll watch it.
You
Okay.
want to do that for next week?
Let's do it for next week. Extraction
Okay.
on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's Chris Hemsworth.
Okay. I'll watch that.
Okay. So yeah.
I love everyone in this. I will just say I love everybody in these movies. I'll figure out a way. I'll watch all these movies that you mentioned. I won't watch all 70 movies.
No.
Well,
no, I won't either.
probably not. No.
No.
But I'll
Well,
watch
some
all
of
these
them already
movies.
came out. The first one that
Yeah.
I've seen that was like notable was I can't remember what it's called, but Anthony Mackie's in it. It looks like a science fiction
Oh,
thing.
Yeah.
But
I know what you're talking about. That's supposed to be really good.
Is
Was it
it?
good?
I don't know. I didn't watch it. It looked weird to me, so
Oh, okay.
I passed on it. But yeah, I'll watch Extraction. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of movies, but I feel like their shows have kind of fallen off lately. Their original shows.
We don't hear anything about the shows anymore. That's kind of the funny.
Well, I don't
Well,
even-
Bridgerton.
Yeah, that's like really big.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the Queen's Gambit, but that's more of a miniseries. They just throw money at things, and if they fail, it's just like, cancel it.
They don't care. They're like, they're the Apple of shit. They just want to they'll throw money at stuff. If it doesn't work out, then whatever. I mean, they'll just make a new version of it.
This year was the first year that a non-Netflix movie was the top, or a non-Netflix show was the top streaming show amongst streaming providers, and it was Mandalorian was the number one. Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna lose to a show,
Yeah, there's just other. I'm surprised. Like The Boys is really big, and Handmaid's Tale is real big, and so I'm surprised that those maybe weren't.
but The Mandalorian is Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
Literally, here's the thing about Star Wars: even the movies that were crap still made more money than anything else.
Other than Avengers.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they made
Avengers
a lot of money. But,
Avengers is the new Star Wars, though.
kind of.
Except
Except the
it's
difference
better.
is that. Well, I was going
Oh.
to say the difference is that with the MCU, it's more good than bad, and
Right. Yeah.
it's literally with Star Wars, it's flip a coin, basically.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you
no,
this question.
I mean-
You're saying Avengers is better than Star Wars. Do you think the Avengers is better than the original Star Wars trilogy?
Well, it's weird because you don't have like a 3 movie. You know what I mean? Like you don't have a saga to blind you up. If
You
I'm
have the
taking the
whole
best 3
Infinity
Star
Saga.
Wars, that'd be a fun thing to do. Is like take the first 3 Star Wars movies ranked against your best 3 Avengers movies or MCU movies. I don't know. I really like both. I like that idea. We should make that an episode. Let's do it. Let's make it an episode.
The answer to that question is Star Wars.
The answer to the question is probably Star Wars at the end of the day.
Segue.
Because I love... Empire Strikes Back is a top 5 favorite movie for me. I've said this from the beginning of the show. So,
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Netflix is going to have a whole lot of movies. Check them out. Number 5, Lucasfilm Games, which will be the gaming arm of Lucasfilms, was announced this past week. We mentioned the Indiana Jones game, which is being developed by Machine Games, makers of Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, and published by Bethesda/Microsoft, but that was not all. Additionally, Lucasfilms Games announced that they were partnering with Ubisoft to make an open-world Star Wars action game. Ubisoft is most known for the Assassin's Creed series, as well as the other open-world quote-unquote checkbox series like The Division and Far Cry. The announcement would seem to end the exclusive development deal that EA had in place for the last 10 years for Star Wars games, which ended with just 4 games produced: Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, which were both met with uneven critical and fan response, Jedi Fallen Order, and Star Wars Squadrons. But not all is lost for EA, as the statement was released saying they look forward to continuing their partnership with Star Wars, with a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order most certainly under development. So this is one of those things that when Lucas sold to Disney in 2011 or 10 or whenever it was, Disney gave the rights exclusively to EA Electronic Arts to develop Star Wars games, so no one else could make Star Wars games. And apparently that deal has either been severed or it's run out, and I can't say that that's probably a bad thing for Star Wars because, in terms of video games, because EA gave us 4 games and like 1.5 of them are good.
Right.
Battlefront 1 was fine. Battlefront 2 had a really poor story campaign, and it took a long time, and it had a lot of bad will because of some microtransactions and loot boxes, things like that. Jedi Fallen Order is a good game. I would recommend that to anybody who is a Star Wars fan. The only problem with Jedi Fallen Order is it's not 100% sure what kind of game it wants to be. It's not sure if it wants to be like a hack and slash or an Uncharted or like a Dark Souls game. So it's got a bit of an identity crisis, but I really like the story in it. And then Squadrons is good as well. It's the TIE Fighter X-Wing thing, playable in VR, that sort of deal. I'm really, of all of these mentioned, I think that Indiana Jones is going to be an Xbox exclusive since it's being developed by a Bethesda studio, and I kind of feel like it's their sort of answer to Uncharted and Star Wars. Uncharted and Tomb Raider.
Sounds accurate.
Yeah.
Sounds accurate.
Which is fine because, we already have a George, so we don't need another one over here in Sony land. But I'm really excited for the possibility of an open world Star Wars game like Assassin's Creed or Far Cry or something like that. That sounds really dope.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I mean, I can't believe there hasn't been like an open world Star Wars game.
Yeah.
Or do whatever you want. I mean, and then whatever happens. But this is what Star Wars deserves. This is what gamers who like Star Wars deserve too. I think this is kind of a nice amalgamation of things coming together going forward, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even the Battlefront games that weren't that good made boatloads of money. And Jedi Fallen Order was in the top 20 in the sales and everything like that for the whole year that it was out. And Squadrons, I don't think it did as well, but it's a little bit more niche. It's like a flight simulator sort of deal. But yeah, I mean,
is it like Star Fox? Is it like Star Fox?
Kind of. You're in the cockpit.
That's still the best flight simulation game I've played.
Is that really a flight simulation game, Greg?
Not really.
No.
But how great was Star Fox?
It's like the Super Nintendo one's fine.
Yeah.
I
don't care about anything else. I just care about Super Nintendo Star Fox. That game changed lives.
I don't know about that.
Do you think Star Fox is probably the biggest game that changed people's lives?
No.
Because I actually think it is.
What?
In the fact that, I think it is a big game. That game was so huge, and they're like, oh, you're flying. I think people became pilots because of that game. I'm 100% confident in that. I'm not even saying it's for any reason. That game probably made people become pilots. Because they thought maybe at some point I'm going to drive this plane into space. I just love Star Fox.
That's such a weird...
I love Star Fox.
IP to just be like, hey, I love this game.
Also, just because Fox is cool.
Because the last Star Fox game was garbage. And
I'm just talking about literally the first one. I'm guessing there's a lot of people our age that are pilots specifically because of Star Fox.
I don't know where we went wrong this episode. It's probably when I hit stop for no reason in the middle of the
We didn't go wrong anywhere. Star Fox is a great game. And we didn't go wrong. So here's the thing. If it's an open Star Wars game where you can just go anywhere and do anything you want, that sounds super fun. If I have a lightsaber and I can just start doing stuff, I'm going to start doing stuff.
There's been a couple games that were canceled, and one of them was called Star Wars 1313, which is almost like if you go back and read the backstory about it, they wanted it to be a Boba Fett game, but then they didn't want it to be Boba Fett. And so it was like almost kind of like what The Mandalorian turned into. But that's kind of what it was like I think it was like you were on Coruscant and you're a bounty hunter and that sort of thing. And it played like Uncharted a little bit, like cover-based shooting and that. I'm not sure if it was open world, if it was linear or not, but it was like almost done. And then this was around the acquisition, and Disney was just like, nah, scrap it.
Sounds good.
We're just going to scrap that. And then additionally, there was a Star Wars game in development at a developer called Visceral Games, and it was being headed up by Amy Hennig, who did the first 3 Uncharted games at Naughty Dog, so it was probably going to also be in that vein as well. And then they just threw a bunch of money at it, and EA at some point was just like, nah, canceled. We're just going to go ahead and cancel that. So I think that there's a lot of bad will towards EA for some of the decisions they've made with this IP that just is held so dearly in so many people's hearts that they kind of crap the bed. 4 games in 10 years. 4 games in 10 years if you're one studio, but EA is a giant publisher. They have a bunch of studios under their umbrella, so they could have been pumping out Star Wars games on a yearly basis, but it's whatever. Number 6, an ongoing, never-ending
Cyberpunk, incredible to me.
Cyberpunk 2077 drama. In a week ripe with somehow even more Cyberpunk 2077 news, some bombs were dropped. Bloomsburg journalist with an axe to grind, Jason Schreier, reported that he spoke with 20 current or former CD Projekt Red employees regarding the launch of the game and dug up some main bullet points. The E3 demo that wowed audiences in 2018 that debuted Keanu Reeves' Johnny Silverhand character was faked. Most of the CD Projekt Red staff knew and openly said that the game would not be ready for a 2020 release. Polish co-workers speaking in Polish in front of non-Polish speaking co-workers, which is against company policy and had people created tension in the workplace. Only one of the developers went on record and described conditions of being pressured to crunch on the game of up to 13 hours a day for 5 days a week. An apology video was released by the CEO of the studio, Marcin Iwinski, which is very Polish, in which he laid out a roadmap of the game in the immediate future and how they plan to get things back on track. And director Adam Badowski responded directly to Schreier's article on Twitter, responding to each bullet point in kind, stating, and I'm paraphrasing here, it's difficult to produce a vertical slice of the game 2 years away from release that is going to be a carbon copy. The video contained a work in progress watermark, so it wasn't quote unquote faked. He acknowledged the issues on the current gen console while touting the numerous 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10s for the PC version. He noted that Schreier interviewed 20 people and said most employees made statements, quote unquote, most employees, and he countered that 20 out of a team of over 500 is hardly most of the team. He also responded that all official meetings and notices that went out via email were in English, as per company policy, but among the team of over 500 people, there are 44 nationalities represented, and when people are in the trenches, they are free to speak their native languages amongst each other. It's worth noting also, and I didn't put it in here, that another class action lawsuit's been filed by investors against CD Projekt Red. So
I'm going to speak my native language right now and get ready for the beep. How do you fuck this up? This is insane. This is so bad. Like, what were they doing? This is so insane to me. Because I actually looked up, I saw something about this in one of my other feeds. They're like, this is so insane. They were not ready at all for this. No. It's insane how not ready they were all for it's crazy to me. I love it. I actually kind of love it.
They should have, and I've said this ad nauseum, and we're only reporting on this because it's just every day there's a new headline surrounding
it's a train wreck. I love it.
But it's they just should have delayed it. And
yeah,
I can't remember the CEO or if it was the director. Excuse me, this Badowski character who said, you know, they were being pressured to just get the game out, and you know the apology video is about 5 minutes long from the CEO, and he takes a lot of accountability, and you know he promises that they're going to get things back on track. But you know at this point it's kind of like the damage has been done, especially to the stockholders and the investors and things like that. So we'll continue to keep reporting on this, but
not good.
I'd love to be able to talk about literally anything else.
Right, it keeps coming up. It comes up on my feed because like I'll mention this or whatever, and it's like, what is going on? Like, why is this so crappy? Oh, because they weren't ready. They were not ready at all.
So we're going to replace clip of the week with rant of the week, and I'm just going to go ahead and let you take it away.
Okay, so here we go. So today, as a proud homeowner, I was supposed to have 3 appliances delivered to my household, to our household. In Janie and I's household, is a washer, dryer, and a dishwasher. They're all Sorry, I'm just gonna say that they are. We're in the Back to the Future world where you can just say that. So when I did this literally 2 months ago, I put this my request in, and I bought all these things, and I put all these things in, like, oh, please deliver it, please take away our appliances, please install it, because I'm a jack of all trades. Installing appliances I can figure out, but I don't want to do it. Guy comes today, he's like, oh, so we just have the equipment to put the dryer in. I was like, well, I requested all those things. He's like, well, we have that on our slip. And I was like, okay, well, that's not good. And so I was like, what if you just installed the dryer? He's like, well, if we install the dryer, then we have to make a new form to fill everything out, and then you're just gonna have to pay for everything else again, and then we have to do all this stuff. It's like, well, how about you don't apply anything? Well, then he said we have to drop off the boxes. It's like, well, what am I gonna do with those boxes? You're gonna have to install them yourself. It's like, well, I don't have the equipment to install those things. You actually need those things,
tools and what have you.
Well, I may have the tools, but I don't have the other tubing and such.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So he's like, you're gonna want to contact Home Depot, and this is not his fault. He's the distribution guy. He's the guy that does this. And you know, I'm a nice guy. I will say this. I think most people think I'm a nice person.
Right.
And I will tend to flip out, and people have seen me flip out, and it's fun. It's fun to see. It's not fun for me. So I call Home Depot, and I'm super nice, and I go through 3 people before I get to someone that I think is competent. Think is the very clear wordness. And he's like, well, here's the thing. The person that took your order online has to actually do things to go through this process. And so when he looked at your order, he didn't follow up. And he's like, when you make major appliances, they actually follow up with you on this.
Right.
There was no follow-up. He just assumed that you were going to install them yourself. So he never asked if you wanted installation, even though I requested it.
Right.
He never asked if you needed the parts, which I requested. And this guy's like, this is not your fault. This is his fault. He's like, he wasn't hired for major appliances. He was just a register guy.
Yeah.
So he had no idea that you even, he had no idea. This could have been like a box of bolts. As far, like, he didn't say that, but that's the way I took it.
Yeah.
So he's like, this was not your fault at all, which he admitted to me. So he's like, well, what we need to do is we need to just credit you for everything, but then buy everything back. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And he's like, well, okay, well, I'll do that, but I have to send you my billing person, and that person's going to give you a call later in the day. So about 2 hours later, after I'm washing and drying my clothes at Janie's parents' house, because we don't have a washer and dryer to do these things, because ours sucks, a man calls back, and he's like, the guy you spoke to earlier, his name is Joe, and I'm going to call Joe out. Home Depot, Galita. Guy sucks at his job, apparently. He's an assistant manager here, but he had no idea what he was doing. So I immediately called the distribution area and was like, you need to put all these things on hold because this person has already paid for them. And if we take them away from him, he might have to pay more, which he's not going to do, because I had said that I will not pay any more than what was quoted. So he's like, so I made sure that they were going to do all these things for you. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I'll follow everything line with something. He's like, well, so what do you want? I was like, I want everything to install these items and take them away. He's like, well, I'm going to charge you this and this and this. And I was like, okay, just charge me this and this. It's all that's taken care of and everything's fine. Here's the thing. They're going to do all this. And
how much longer do you have to wait?
So I have just a week. They were able to get everything. Here's the thing. I ordered these items 2 months. It'll be 3 months before I actually get them.
Yeah.
I am going to send... I hate to be a Karen, and I'm going to be a Karen out the wazoo on this. If I don't get something for free in this, I'm going to lose my mind. They have nothing... I cannot, at Home Depot, shit on them more. It is terrible.
Right.
I mean, they did not handle any of this well. The guy's like, well, we've been going through a lot with COVID. I don't care. I work at 2 places that have been doing a lot with COVID, and we handle everything really well. This is not an excuse. This is almost a year now. If I don't get something, all my social media will be just like Home Depot sucks. You can suck an egg. You can do whatever else you can. Home Depot sucks. I'm going to tag them in this episode. They are terrible. They have no idea what they're doing.
That's why you go to Lowe's, man.
I have a Lowe's here. Lowe's also a Trump supporter.
Huh?
The guy who owns Lowe's is a Trump guy.
I don't care.
I also don't have a Lowe's here.
Oh.
I only have a Home Depot.
Lowe's is the same guy that owns Walmart and Sam's Club, isn't it? Isn't Lowe's like a Wal? It's like Walmart.
Yeah, they're all
Sam
Trump
Walton.
people. I don't actually, at the end of the day, I don't really care about that. I just want my shit. All I care about is having my shit. Like, if you're rich, you're going to support Trump. He's out tomorrow, whatever. But I just want my stuff. That's literally all I care about. And they couldn't even give me my stuff because the guy didn't do his job. So Home Depot sucks. That's all I really need to say about this entire podcast. Like, watch all these shows. Watch WandaVision. Watch Star Wars. Watch Back to the Future. Home Depot sucks. And don't ever get anything from them because they have no idea what they're doing. I might get my stuff next Tuesday. Who knows? And that's where I'm at.
Quick hitter time. Chris Evans reportedly in talks to return to the MCU as Captain America denies the rumors.
He doesn't. He's coming back. He's gonna be in like WandaVision or something. He's
not gonna be in WandaVision.
Well, maybe a WandaVision.
They're already made.
No, I mean like going forward.
I don't think there's going to be a second season. I don't think there's going to be seasons of this. I think there might be seasons of like Moon Knight and She-Hulk, but I don't think there's going to be seasons of like Hawkeye and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think he's coming back.
Season 2.
I think he's coming back just because being Captain America is super cool, and he's also awesome, and just being that muscular is cool. Yeah. And if he can just come on stage and be like, "Look how cute I am,"
that is America's ass.
It has America's ass. Like, look at it. I mean, like, why wouldn't you come back to be a Captain America for like a thing?
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was coming back to do like a 6-movie thing. It's like, oh, he might come back. He may come back for like a 30-second clip in a movie. You know. I love him. I love Chris Evans. So
I want to see him do some of those clips from Spider-Man. So
that could be a whole movie.
Detention. Yeah, those are hilarious. My favorite one of those is from Spider-Man Homecoming, is when Hannibal Buress is the gym teacher, and he's doing the video, and he's like, "Your gym teacher here," and he references to the right of the TV, and Hannibal Buress is on the left side. For some reason, that's just hilarious to me.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
It's really good. Chris Evans will be back. I think Robert Downey Jr. will be back in some form.
I think he might be too.
Yeah.
There's going to be a Keurig style pod ice cream maker.
Give me ice cream any way you can.
Oh my! Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. If anybody, I will not buy this for myself, and I pray that no one buys it for me. Or else
guess
it'll
what?
be me and Wilford Brimley getting diabetes together.
Here's the thing. I don't know what happened to my ice cream maker. It got lost in my moving process, I think.
Well, you've moved 37 times, so that's...
I move a lot. It looked like an ice cream cone, and I miss my ice cream maker because I made some pretty nice ice cream, and I just I love... You're the only person that likes ice cream more than I do.
Yeah. I really like ice cream, and it's
delicious. Why do people not like... Here's maybe a second. How can you not like ice cream? It's delicious.
Communist.
It's sweet, and
Antifa.
It's filled with... Like, I'm lactose intolerant, and when I eat a lot of ice cream, bad things happen to me. I don't give a crap.
Well, you do.
I do. I give a lot of crap, but I don't... Just what happens, like, it's delicious.
Yeah.
And anything... Here's the thing. Non-milk-based ice cream is okay. I'll say it's okay. It is not actual ice cream. I will crush... So out here we have a place called McConnell's. It's Western United States based. I just
back
feel
here
like
in
just
real
going,
America, we have Dairy Queen.
Okay, well whatever. Either way, I get an ice cream sandwich and it's 2 cookies, 2 actual like massive cookies filled with like 3 scoops of ice cream, and I'll be like, this is dessert, which literally that's a meal. That's 1,300 calories. I'm just shoving in my face with all milk fat. And then I spend the next day being punished. Yeah. I don't care.
2 things on that. Number 1, I've been since the 4th or so back on the low carb thing, so I have not had ice cream. It's working out though.
Okay.
I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and talk about numbers, but it's working out so far.
Okay, good.
Secondly, our friend Bob Sacamano one time asked me what my favorite meal was that didn't have meat in it, because he was going on a date with a girl who I believe she was a Hindu or the like, and so he needed to have a meal that did not have meat involved, and I told him my favorite meat. I told him my favorite meal was ice cream.
I respect that. I wish you would ask me.
Yeah. So,
I'm actually disappointed.
Well,
now
it's been a while. Well,
I've dated a lot of vegetarians in my day.
Over it. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I said, what's the deal? He's like, oh yeah, she's straight off the boat. I'm like, that's a little racist, man.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Hogwarts Legacy, coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X, has been delayed to 2022. The first of what I believe will be many delays this year. I'm not surprised.
Everything's going to be delayed. Everything will be delayed.
Don't say everything. Not everything, but like like I said in my bullet predictions, God of War ain't coming. So,
yeah.
You know, just as long as I get Ratchet, that's all I want. Yeah. That's all I care about.
Ratchet will come out. It'll come out later this year, but it'll come out.
There's going to be in 2024 a Willy Wonka prequel movie.
I don't need that in my life at all.
Yeah, that was the one I added.
I actually think that's insane. I don't need that. I don't want that.
I put it in the show notes as WW prequel, and I was hoping that you thought it meant one.
I had no idea what that was. I was like, World War Zero? I had no idea what that was. No, we don't need that. Never, ever in my life.
Willy Wonka.
Did you know? The first Willy
okay,
Wonka
so my wife got her mom.
My wife.
Yeah, it's my wife, Jackie. She got her mom a cameo from this guy that was on The Voice, and it was real nice, and he like sang a song or whatever. But we scrolled through like all the people that you can get on Cameo, and this is kind of germane because we talked about this the other week.
Yeah,
Deep
naughty
Roy,
one for me.
Yeah, right. Deep Roy,
is she in a bikini?
Who is shut up. The guy that plays the Oompa Loompa, all the Oompa Loompas, in the Johnny Depp one, is on there. Deep Roy.
Oh, nice.
You get a cameo of Deep Roy for $50.
That's not bad.
So $50 well spent.
Oh, that's easily well spent.
I just want him to sing Augustus Gloop and dance.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. And I would spend $50 on just about anyone.
Do you know what the crazy part about that guy is? I looked him up on 3 different like ways of looking people up. 3 different birth dates. So you know.
What can you say?
He's a Dominican Little Leaguer. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's 35 or he's 23 or he's 56.
Yeah, it was wild.
Who knows?
Dua Lipa will grace the February cover of Rolling Stone magazine. I know you're a fan.
I love her. Well, she's smoking hot. She can be on anything. She was on the cover of me. So
let me ask you this question, because you've been talking a lot
yeah.
about people who are smoking hot and not doing a cameo.
Yeah.
Is your girlfriend an avid listener of this podcast?
She knows everything I talk about, and I always tell her how, like, the whole podcast is me talking about girls being smoking hot.
Okay.
And she's okay with it.
Fair enough.
Because there was a thing where people were like, you really flirt a lot. And I actually mentioned this in when you're gone. I flirt a lot. Like, this is my thing. This has always been my thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's passed down from my mom, and it's just a thing. Like, here's the thing. I respect a good-looking person anywhere. I respect a good-looking man, as we've talked about in this show.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like Janie. Yeah. Here's the thing. Penelope Cruz to come out of nowhere and be like, Greg, will you marry me? That's gonna happen. That's never gonna happen.
Right.
Sure. Janie respects the idea. Janie and I are in agreement that, like, I will just say stupid shit on this podcast. And here's, like, that's the thing. Like, Dua Lipa's really freaking attractive. I'm not saying anything new. Dua Lipa is never going to come up to me out of nowhere and be like, Greg, you want to go on a date? That's never going to happen. There's
Christopher
no
Lloyd
concern.
might. At the bookstore.
He's not my type.
Yeah.
He's not my type.
Fair enough.
But but that's the thing. Like we said, I always think this has been a thing where I've talked about, like, that isn't that part of my thing. I think that's part of my thing where, like, I say these things and these. I'm the part of the podcast where it's like it's super loose, and I'm just gonna be like, oh, this person's super. Dua Lipa is very attractive. I like dark girls with dark eyebrows. You know who also has dark eyebrows and dark hair? Is Janie.
That's fair.
That is super fair. I am
fair.
with someone that is literally the description of all these things.
Right.
I'm excited. I saw the Rolling Stone pictures. It is fantastic. I would suggest anyone that likes attractive women to just check it out.
I
also think Melissa's cute. Here we go. I'll just say that. Melissa's cute too, Breton.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're dating a fine-looking woman.
I'm not dating.
Well, you're married to a fine-looking woman. Sorry, I was going in my realm. I'm not married to Janie, but we are married. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
Different. Yeah.
Media recommendations.
So Devil All the Time is a great movie. It has Tom Holland. It has Robert Pattinson. It's so good. It's a long movie. Yeah, you gotta be ready. It's down for a long movie. But if you're ready for it, it is intense. It's about just people being terrible. And I love that. It's really good. It's pretty dark, but it's good. And then Her Smell, it is so good. It has Elizabeth Moss from Mad Men and Invisible Man, which I recommended before on this show.
Handmaid's Tale.
And Handmaid's Tale, she's so good in this movie. Her Smell, she's a rock musician, and it's this rock musician from the 90s where things obviously get super weird and drugs and alcohol. But she's so good in this movie. I can't recommend it enough. And, we watched, of course we watched Star Wars and The Challenge. And the NBA, I've been watching too. And the Lakers are just in cruise control, and they don't care. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Also, the last 4 games of the NFL playoffs, gonna be super. I think gonna be super good. My boy Tommy's still in it, which I'm excited about. Tommy, how's the peeping?
Yeah, as a big Carolina Panthers fan, I would have been fine with Bane blowing up the stadium.
What?
Dark Knight Rises style.
Yeah.
To take out both the Bucks and the Saints. So I don't think Drew Brees is going to retire. I know everybody says he's going to. He
should, though. He has nothing left.
Yeah.
He has nothing left.
He did have broken ribs and a collapsed lung.
His shoulder's all screwed up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen firsthand what it looks like when you have a quarterback who can't throw the ball down the field.
Right.
So media recommendations for me was originally when I wrote this I was playing Maneater, but I've actually since platinumed it and I'm done with it. That game is bonkers. I can't it's wild, and you play as a shark. It's a quote unquote open world game because you go through the world and you check boxes with like collectibles and things like that. You have to kill other fish and you get bigger. You start out as a pup, bull shark pup, and then you progress and evolve until you're a mega shark, like a prehistoric mega shark. You get all these like wild armors and stuff like that, and you can use like bioelectric power, and it's crazy. And you just devour people, and you just devour other fish in the ocean. And like towards the end of the game, you have to take down killer whales and sperm whales and stuff like that, and it's crazy. It's not very hard. There's only one part that's difficult. It's in each area has an apex predator that's basically the boss of that area, and it starts out, it's like a barracuda, or you're in the bayou, and it's like an alligator. It's like the apex alligator, and then there's like a barracuda, and it progresses the whole way up to a sperm whale and the orca. The orca is really difficult. It was the only hard part. It was the only part that took me more than one try. But other than that, it's really fun. It's just crazy. And the best part about it, I'm going to tell you the best part about it is Chris Parnell does all the narrating.
Oh, I love that.
And it is hilarious.
I'm sure it's great. Yeah.
It's so funny because he's so dry. And
sure.
like he's got like that sort of like peppy sarcasm. So it's free right now if you're a PS Plus subscriber for PlayStation 5 users. It's on PS4. I think there were some technical issues with the PS4 version, but yeah, it's real solid. I had a lot of fun with it. It's short. It's a short platinum. It took me about 14 hours, so not very long at all. But I started playing today. Because I don't really have anything else. I don't have any other new games until the next PS Plus game comes out next month. So, I mean, I'm still playing NBA, but that's never like my main game. I always just kind of play that sort of to unwind or whatever. But I started playing Days Gone, which is a Sony exclusive from Sony Bend from the PS4 that I missed along the way. It's basically, I would say it is Sons of Anarchy meets The Walking Dead. So you play as a biker, and it's another open world game, and there's zombies and stuff like that. I think the zombie thing is a little overwrought at this point, especially when they have The Last of Us in their first party lineup. So I don't know that this game needed to exist, but it does. But other than that, I've been watching, like I said, watching Big Brother and then all the stuff that we watch, and I've been listening to the By the Way album from the Chili Peppers.
Nice.
Ever since my conversation with DJ Outro Dallas on his podcast, we talked a lot about my love for the Chili Peppers, and that's just, for some reason, that's the album that has struck me. I actually ordered it on vinyl, so that'll be coming here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's it. I'm still reading Ready Player 2, and I eventually will get through it, but it's kind of a drag, if I'm being honest.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. But yeah, so next week we'll have I think we're gonna try and get our guest on for January.
Nice.
For next week, and then we'll have WandaVision challenge, and we'll do Extraction.
Yeah.
And probably something with Cyberpunk again. We'll see. Yeah.
Probably. Most likely it'll be something where like Cyberpunk just blows up. It just blows up people's houses or something. Just like you start the game and it just blows up your house.
Yeah. High probability. So yeah, I mean, follow us on all of our Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GTFills, at Y2B, Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, YouTube.com/BXG Podcast, email BXGPodcast@gmail.com, questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, ideas. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from everybody, even the comrades out in Russia who've been downloading the show and infiltrating us here in the last couple of weeks. We appreciate everybody who downloads and listens. Hopefully everybody sticks through to the very end and, of each episode and stuff like that. So we want, to keep growing this thing. We're having a good time. But tell your friends, tell your family.
Tell your mothers.
About the unmistakable essence of the BXG podcast. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Thank you. Love you guys.